You are losing money every second you spend trying to earn it through your own physical labor alone. Most people believe that wealth is a reward for hard work, but the hardest workers on earth are often the poorest. The secret to true riches has nothing to do with your hourly wage and everything to do with a hidden system you were never taught in school. If you keep following the traditional path of trading time for paper, you will likely end up broke and exhausted by 65. Think about Ronald Read for a moment. He was a humble man from Vermont who spent 25 years fixing cars at a gas station and another 17 years sweeping floors as a janitor. He lived in a small house he bought for $12,000 and drove a used car until it couldn't move anymore. His neighbors thought he was struggling just to pay his monthly utility bills because he lived so simply. But when Ronald Read passed away in 2014, the entire world was shocked by what they found in his legal will. This quiet janitor who never earned more than a basic living wage left behind a fortune worth over $8 million. How does a man who sweeps floors for a living end up with more money than a high-powered corporate lawyer or a neurosurgeon? The answer to that question contains the first major key to building wealth that you can start using today. Wealth is not what you earn, but rather what you keep, and how hard that money works for you while you are sleeping. Most people are stuck in a cycle of earning and spending which keeps them on a treadmill that never actually leads to a destination. But before we dive into how you can replicate Ronald's success, we have to address a dangerous lie that is currently draining your bank account. You have been told that a high salary is the same thing as being wealthy, but that is a trap designed to keep you poor. A person making $200K a year who spends $205,000 is actually poorer than a student with $50 in their pocket. This is why professional athletes often go bankrupt only a few years after signing multi-million-dollar contracts that should have lasted a lifetime. Wealth is an invisible game played by people who understand that money is a tool rather than a trophy to be displayed. To win this game, you must first understand the difference between an asset and a liability, which sounds simple, but most people get it wrong. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket every month without you having to lift a finger or break a sweat. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket every month regardless of whether you are working or resting. Your house is often your biggest liability, even though your bank and your parents probably told you it was your greatest asset. It demands taxes and insurance and repairs and interest payments every single month, without ever sending you a check in return. Real wealth begins the moment you stop buying things to impress people you don't even like and start buying things that produce income. But here's the part where most people get stuck and give up before they even give themselves a chance to win. They think they need a massive pile of cash to start investing, but Ronald Read started with just a few dollars from his modest paycheck. He understood the power of compound interest, which Albert Einstein famously called the eighth wonder of the world, for a very good reason. If you take a single penny and double it every day for 30 days, you might think you would end up with a few $100s. But because of the way math works, that single penny turns into over $5 million by the end of the month. The problem is that the first 20 days of that journey feel incredibly slow, and most people quit because they don't see immediate results. On day 15, you only have $163 and you feel like you are wasting your precious time. But if you stay the course and keep your money invested, the explosion of growth happens right at the very end of the timeline. This is why the richest people on the planet are often the ones who started earliest and remained the most patient during the boring years. Now imagine if you could combine this patience with a way to increase the value of the time you are currently spending at your job. To do this, you have to realize that the market does not pay you for your time, even though your boss might tell you otherwise. The market pays you for the value you bring to a specific problem and how difficult it is for the world to find someone else to do it. A brain surgeon earns more than a ditch digger because there are millions of people who can dig holes, but very few who can fix a human mind. If you want to make more money, you must stop looking for more hours in the day and start looking for ways to become more valuable. This might mean learning a high-value skill like coding or sales or complex problem-solving that most people are too lazy to master. However, even the most valuable skill in the world still requires your physical presence to generate an income, which is a major limitation. To break free from this limit, you need to learn the art of leverage, which is the true secret weapon of the billionaire class. Leverage is the ability to do more with less by using other people's time, or other people's money, or scalable technology to do the work. When you own a business, you are leveraging the time of your employees to create a product or service that makes you money while you sleep. When you invest in the stock market, you are leveraging the brains and hard work of the thousands of people who work at those companies. You don't have to know how to build an iPhone to profit from the success of Apple because you own a piece of their effort. But there is a dark side to wealth that no one talks about, and it is the reason why most people who get rich eventually lose it all. Success is a slow process, but failure can happen in a single afternoon if you let your emotions take control of your logical brain. Fear and greed are the two greatest enemies of your financial future, and they will try to sabotage you every time the market shifts. When prices go up, greed tells you to buy more at the peak, and when prices go down, fear tells you to sell everything at the bottom. To stay wealthy, you must develop a mindset that is immune to the temporary noise of the news and the opinions of your broke friends. You have to be willing to look like a failure for a long time so that you can live like a king for the rest of your life. Consider the story of a man who decided to start a small online bookstore in his garage while everyone told him he was crazy to compete with big retailers. He didn't focus on the money in the beginning, but instead focused on building a system that could scale to serve millions of customers. That man was Jeff Bezos, and he understood that wealth follows value like a shadow follows an object in the bright midday sun. If you focus on solving a big enough problem for enough people, the money will eventually find its way into your bank account. Most people are looking for a shortcut or a secret hack that will make them rich by next Thursday, but those paths usually lead to a dead end. True wealth is built brick by brick through consistent action and the discipline to delay your gratification for a much bigger prize later. You have to decide if you want to look rich right now, or if you want to actually be rich 10 years from today, because you usually can't have both. The person driving the brand new luxury car on a lease is often one missed paycheck away from total financial ruin and absolute disaster. Meanwhile, the millionaire next door is likely wearing an old t-shirt and driving a 10-year-old truck, while his investment accounts grow by thousands of dollars every day. He doesn't need the validation of strangers because he has the freedom to do whatever he wants with his time. Wealth is ultimately about freedom and the ability to say no to things you don't want to do and yes to the things that truly matter. It is about being able to help your family and support your community and leave a legacy that lasts long after you are gone from this earth. If you are starting from zero today, do not be discouraged, because the most important step is simply changing the way you think about a dollar bill. Stop seeing a dollar as something to be traded for a coffee, and start seeing it as a tiny seed that can grow into a massive tree. Every time you save and invest a dollar, you are hiring a little soldier to go out and fight for your freedom in the global marketplace. The more soldiers you have, the faster you will reach the point where you never have to worry about a bill or a boss ever again. But you must start now, because time is the only resource that you can never get back, no matter how much money you eventually accumulate. The best time to start building your empire was 10 years ago, but the second best time is right this second, while you are watching this. The path to wealth is not a mystery, and it is not reserved for the lucky or the gifted or those born into a wealthy family with a silver spoon. It is a predictable result of following a set of rules that have worked for centuries for anyone brave enough to actually follow them. Master your mind and control your spending and increase your value, and then use leverage to scale your results to the moon and beyond. If you do these things with total focus and relentless consistency, you will look back in 5 years and barely recognize the life you are living. The true secret to gaining wealth is realizing that you are the only one responsible for your financial destiny, and no one is coming to save you. You must take the wheel and drive yourself towards the future you deserve by making the hard choices that your future self will thank you for. Subscribe to Acknowledge Wealth for more wealth psychology and success strategies.